Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. We're halfway through, so let's get started with Moon Knight number 26. Where we left off with Moon Knight, he was dealing with Black Spectre, having nearly fallen into a trap that Black Spectre had laid, and also Black Spectre had engineered a breakout at the Myrmidon, which included freeing Zodiac. That said, this issue does not focus on Mark, but rather on Hunter's Moon, who recently died and came back. So Badir is speaking with Dr. Stenman about what he's been through. Badir feels that well, first off, Badir states that he was Khonshu's last resurrection, and it felt flawed. When she presses as to how it felt flawed, he explains that, yes, how does one trace the boundaries of who they are, what they are, of their identity, of personhood? He's concerned about who he is and who he's becoming. That said, Badir has been working with the Moloids that had been enslaved by Commodore Danny Planet. And so he has made believers of Khonshu out of them, it would seem. Many of them adorning their foreheads with a crescent moon. And as they are, generally speaking, travelers of the night, he is protecting them as need be, as is one of the jobs of the Fist of Khonshu. And as we've learned of late, all the Fists of Khonshu, basically, a Fist of Khonshu can draw upon the essence, as it were, of previous Fists of Khonshu. And most recently, Badir did so to take down a villain named Vibro. And the fist he summoned forth was the first Moon Knight. But giving in to the first Moon Knight's spirit, Badir feels that the levee was broken, and at times he's not sure where he ends and the other Moon Knights begin. Vibro is currently unconscious at Badir's clinic. And but doctors Dr. Sturman wishes to help Badir, but she can only do so much. But she will help him however she can. And because of what Badir's going through, it seems he doesn't feel he can help Mark as well as he normally could, especially with Black Spectre's whatever Black Spectre's plans for the city are. he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want. He wishes to be a warrior in this war, not a liability. And so, Dr. Sturman suggests as they're both doctors, perhaps they should dispense with formality. She gives him her first name, Andrea, and Badir gives a speech about formality and asks that she please call him Yahya. In an epilogue, it appears to be related to gods. An alarm goes off at Badir's clinic, and that is where the issue ends. Interesting. I like the character of Hunter's Moon. He was infuriating at first, coming off as a better, more committed Moon Knight. Now he's basically said, well, if Khonshu accepts Mark as the Fist, then Mark is my brother. And I like it. I really like it. So, yeah. This run has been consistently good, and so, yeah. I eagerly await every subsequent issue. Moving on to our next book, we've got Scarlet Witch #7. Where we left off, Wanda had a visitor. Apparently, her father, Magneto. Though it was made clear at the end that it was not in fact Magneto, but rather Joseph, a clone of Magneto. However, not in the body of the issue, more the postscript for the following, this issue. But Joseph explains that he remembers the flash of the sword, the surreal sight of his own body, and then light, the wetting of organics, chemical preservatives, and mad science. A decrepit lab, old before Krakoa and familiar, a genetics site. Sinister, plans and plans. Plans gone fallow, and he was gone, alone. He couldn't starve, so he left, but his face made his streets dangerous. He had nowhere to go, nowhere but Wanda's shop. Which is learning that it's Joseph and not her father is a bit disheartening for Wanda. But we also get confirmation this takes place after the Hellfire Gala, as Joseph states that Krakoa has fallen and he can't surrender to Orcus. But he's alive and he needs to start again. And who could possibly understand such a thing? Also, apparently, Darcy is definitely into magnetic himbo. However, before they figure out what to do, a man named Nelson Gruber tumbles through the last door. He explains that if it's written, he wields it. He builds kingdoms of words, as not sort of bricks, but he was betrayed. All by subjects who wouldn't even be without him. So he took books and made them real. But the freedom is too much for the ideas. They lash out once they realize they're truly alive. And Joseph kind of makes the point that he's sure it's the freedom that terrifies them. But Wanda does say that her door is open, and he came through it, so... Darcy, though, kind of does point out that Joseph probably has a point. And also notes that Nelson is missing a hand. So it turns out that he got a collector at a first edition of Wizard of Oz. And in Texola, Oklahoma, he made Oz real. But they are attacked by flying monkeys, which are quickly dispelled by Wanda, as she dispels everything else, stopping her. She's given a pair of emerald glasses to see with, and comes upon the Great Witch. Who explains that she's not a wicked witch or a good witch. She's the witch. Wanda manages to her and Wanda fight it out. It turns out that the witch has Nelson's missing hand bound to the book. But Wanda causes her and the witch to switch places, thusly putting the book in Wanda's possession. Sends everyone home, and Nelson is sucked in as well. When he arrives in the Ideaverse, well, its denizens appear quite happy to see him. Seemingly Wanda takes the book back to the Emporium. Speaks again with Joseph, stating that while he does remind her of her father, it's not his fault, and if he truly wishes to start again, then he's right where he belongs. And she gives Joseph a hug. And Joseph notes that he's never read Wizard of Oz. Clone childhoods aren't much, after all. And suggests that perhaps he and Wanda could read it together. We get an interlude to gods that has no bearing on the story. Demetrius and Sebelith potentially making a deal with Sebelith the vampires. But the issue truly ends with an interlude in the Helltown section of Begalia. Or of Begalia City, it should be noted. Diablo is at his favorite Infernal Combat Club, the jewel of the Red Light Nation. And a woman has sat down across from him, paying a debt. Apparently, Diablo taught this woman a lesson in temporal transmutation. And she gives him his world sword. He tells her to enjoy her revenge. And the Hex Finder states that revenge is a hobby, a lifetime long at best. Her pain stretches back centuries, which has betrayed her people. Though there's a cure even for the strongest. Wanda Maximoff is strong, she's flourishing, leaving the Scarlet Witch. Can't hide from the Hex Finder. And that is where the issue ends. I am glad. I think that what happened. I think this was initially intended as a miniseries, but it sold well, and so Warlock turned into to keep it as ongoing. And I'm glad they did. So it has at the very least been an interesting read. So moving on to our next book, we've got Warlock Rebirth number 5. Where we left off, Adam Warlock had reclaimed the Soul Gem and had seemingly begun to turn Eve Warlock into an ally. However, the High Evolutionary showed up and attacked and knocked them both out, and then took them. On Counter Earth's moon, the High Evolutionary had decided to try again. The power of both Warlocks, including the Soul Gem, but to carry out the High Evolutionary's will. Initially, the plan is to basically put all the power to Eve and tell her to take the Soul Gem as rightfully hers. And she refuses. This, of course, angers the High Evolutionary. Adam regains consciousness, and him and Eve combined attack the High Evolutionary, and Eve returns the power she's stolen from him, putting them both at full power. They continue, as their fight against the High Evolutionary continues, Gamora and Pip show up. However, the High Evolutionary retreats, realizing that his defeat is imminent. Eve states that she intends to track down the High Evolutionary, and make him pay for basically make him pay, but and returns the karmic staff to Warlock. She's an invitation extended to her to come to stay on Monster Island with them and join the Infinity Watch if she desires. And while she states that perhaps at some point she will accept the invitation, right now she intends to find the High Evolutionary. And so the series ends on Monster Isle with Adam thanking Gamora, Pip, and Doctor Strange, while Drax and Moondragon, well, mainly Drax, laments that they missed the whole thing. Warlock also apologizes to Genus Vell for pulling him into the whole thing, though he explains that he's glad he came to Earth. He may not have learned a great deal about his father, but he learned about being a hero. Though he adds that he's got a lot of thinking to do, and that Monster House was a good place to do some soul searching. And so, seemingly, Genus is sent to Soul World. However, the Silver Surfer shows up, stating that Surfer stating that he has need of Genus. That is where the series ends. And that will be continued in the upcoming Silver Surfer Rebirth Legacy miniseries, which doesn't say when it starts. I've seen solicits for some of the issues, so probably next month or the month after. This was an interesting series. I kind of like the 90s nostalgia kick with some of these, especially with, I don't know, the stories seeming, the writing seems less, I don't know, seems more modern, but it still works, as it still feels like 90s nostalgia. I guess what it is that it feels, these miniseries set in the 90s, they feel, aesthetically they feel like the 90s, which is a big part of making it feel like, which is a big part of it with comics. But writing-wise, it feels like someone taking concepts from the 90s, but maybe applying more I guess, modern, some more modern writing conventions, so long as said conventions don't countermand the continuity of the series that it's somewhat adding to. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Justice Society of America, number 5. Where we left off, Per Degaton had attacked the JSA, and afterwards, Huntress decided to go to Gotham and meet her and find her father. The issue begins. Huntress gives Batman a hug, and she tells him everything about her life, his death, her mother's death. But the JSA shows up alongside Madame Xanadu, and they have the snow globe. And Degaton attacks with numbers, multiple additional copies of himself. Meanwhile, Jakeem and Stargirl are on a mission of their own, looking from Madame Xanadu, looking for something that Degaton personally touched. A child version of Degaton attempts to stop them and kill them both, and fails. They find something that Degaton has definitely touched. Madame Xanadu sees what would happen if Degaton succeeds. He becomes all time. We see something similar to the first meeting of the JSA, but it's all Degatons. Torture of the Bat family and its allies, as well as the JLA and the Legion. All these committed by armies of Per Degaton. But Degaton almost manages to take the snow globe. However, Dr. Fate grabs it, pulling forth Justice Society members from the past and the future. Showing members of Helena's JSA lineup, as well as I said, founders, all working together. And Degaton is taken down. And ends up exiled within the Flashpoint universe, and seemingly at the mercy of Flashpoint Batman, Flashpoint Joker, and Robin. However, all the future, all the displaced members of the JSA all vanish, except for Huntress. While speaking with the JSA, or while speaking with Madame Xanadu, Batman does state that Huntress can't be here, or she can't stay here. A week later, Mr. Terrific is explaining that things have changed, and clarifies things in the JSA's history. However, he's not exactly sure how. And there is a lingering question of what this means for Huntress. The idea being that she wasn't sent back because her future no longer exists. But Stargirl and Judy Garrick burst in with Our Man, members of the Young Justice Society. And Judy states that if there are questions about time, she bets Our Man can shed some light on them. And that is where the issue ends. I like that we're finally getting some connective tissue between this and the recent Stargirl miniseries. It's still an annoyance that Jeff Johns continues to milk Watchmen for anything he can. Seriously, someone needs to tell him to stop. Moore is not going to pat him on the head and tell him he's proud. That he's proud of him. Punch him in the face, sure. Pat him on the head and tell him he's good. He's done good. Moving on, though, to our last book for the moment, we've got Peacemaker Tries Hard, number 4. Where we left off, Peacemaker discovered that his parole officer is, in fact, Golden Age hero, the Red Bee. And Red Bee has offered to help him with his goal of finding his missing dog, Bruce Wayne. Excuse me. They start their quest looking for General Mortis, and they find him at McShoney's. Apparently, General Mortis is one of those assholes who goes out to eat, puts a stack of dollar bills on the table, and for every time the server doesn't act the way he would like, he removes one. But Peacemaker and Red Bee show up, wanting to know where the brain is hiding. Peacemaker threatens Mortis with a napkin dispenser up his ass, and Mortis states that he's had one up there, and well, it was actually incredibly uncomfortable, and he despised it. So yeah, he'll talk. He doesn't know where their headquarters is, but he does know how they can find it. And so Peacemaker calls Amanda Waller, gets him backup, and at first he's got it. He says Bruce Wayne's been kidnapped. But while discussing the whole thing, while celebrating the fact that Waller's going to send backup, he does say that it's his dog, and backup's not on the question. In fact, she very nearly activates his nanobomb. But Red Bee takes Peacemaker to a member of the Blackhawks that's still alive so they can get where they need to go. Along the way, Red Bee has a war flashback, a nightmare of a war flashback, I should say, or nightmare as a war flashback as a nightmare, taking of his battle against the War Wheel. But they arrive in South America, and there's an illegal export operation that turns out is being run by Mall and the Brain to make some extra scratch. That operation is run by none other than Snowflame. Cocaine-powered supervillain smuggler. Yes, you heard that right. Cocaine-powered. But turns out he's bored. Basically just You know, shipping out recreations of rare trading cards or counterfeit sneakers or knockoff limited edition sneakers. It's boring. But one of Red B's manages to unlock Red B's cuffs, and well, Red B returns the favor for Peacemaker. Peacemaker deals with Snowflame. Red B deals with Snowflame's henchmen. And turns out that Peacemaker basically Mickeyed Snowflame's coke with venomous tree frogs. They're in the Amazon, after all. And the one survivor of the one henchman who has been taken down points Peacemaker and Red B towards Brain's headquarters. Like, yeah, that's definitely Brain's headquarters. And so they ask Deathstroke if he's ready for the forthcoming violence and destruction. Deathstroke simply states that he was born ready. Quick thoughts: that's a clone of Deathstroke. That's a clone of Deathstroke that they made. This has honestly just been I'm loving this book. It captures a lot of the feel of the show while still feeling connected to the greater DC universe, and I love that. Absolutely love it. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Huge shout out to this Patreon patron, Xander Lee. Thank you so much for your support. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.